Hey, welcome to Cougs Corner, the official podcast of University of Houston Athletics. Everything you need to know and hopefully a little bit more about what's going on with your Houston Cougars. This is the place to be and a good way to start things off. Coming up here on the show, we'll be visiting with Todd Whitting, who is the baseball coach, of course, here at the University of Houston. Just a couple of weeks away from getting the baseball season going here in mid-February. Dorian Branch from the women's basketball team. She's got a great story, but we're going to start things off. Why not start with the boss, right? Chris Pesman, the athletic director here at the University of Houston, visiting with us. Here we are. You know, the holidays have gone by. Is there ever a time for an athletic director when it's not a busy time?
No, never actually. Although I will say this year was a little bit of an anomaly. You know, not going to a bowl game, and not being in the middle of a coaching search as we were last year. So if there was ever a downtime, this was the unique holiday season. But I don't anticipate having much more of those.
You're not a terribly patient guy, I know that. But hey,
that's fair.
This is going back through football season. You know, this was the proverbial, breaking some eggs to make an omelet type of a season. And I know that's not an easy one to swallow, and you're not going to settle for that. But at the same time, sometimes you do have to take a step back to take two steps forward.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. You know, what we were talking about, what Dan and I discussed pretty early in the season was some of the issues we were dealing with the roster. Our kids were outpacing ourselves with their eligibility compared to their academics. And we had made a lot of short-term decisions in the past couple seasons with playing kids before they were ready. And a chance to redshirt almost half our roster, 35 kids, allowed us to kind of reset the roster and start creating the layers that you want for success looking ahead. Obviously, you never want to go 4-8 as you work through that, but it's something that I think is a one-time blip, and I think you'll see a significant uptick in the production of the team this next year.
Visiting with Athletic Director Chris Pesman here on Cougs Corner. Now let's move on because, man, you talk about, let's face it, if you're going to compete in this day and age in NCAA athletics, I don't know if it starts that way, but it's facilities is a huge part of what you're doing. Yeah. When you walk around this campus, I don't even want to go back to when you were here as a student because it's apples and oranges, but to look at it from where, when you came on campus as the athletic director or the previous stint, it's night and day as to where it was right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's apples and oranges. It's more like, cement and an orange. I mean, it's that different. It's for us, with where we are and what we're trying to do, facilities are, it's a core pillar of what we need to be able to do. We've had incredible support from the university and our administration and our donors, being able to spend almost $300 million in the last little over 7 years in facilities between TDECU and the Fertitta Center. But it's the things that people don't necessarily get a chance to experience day to day, which are the really tangible investments with the Guy V. Lewis practice facility, the indoor practice facility for football. We've got an indoor track that most people don't even realize that we have an indoor bank track, one of only 10 in the country. And then obviously a couple weeks ago we opened the performance facility, which is just, look, everybody says it, but it really is best in class. Todd's done a great job of making that a reality, and we're very fortunate to have that and look forward to the impact that it's going to have.
Yeah, I mean, it was a while in the making, but it's sometimes things are worth it. I just thinking about this, going to the basketball game the other night, and just it's a place to be. I mean, I know there's Rockets basketball, there's NBA basketball in this city, but at the same time, I mean, it's a fun atmosphere. The guys have done a great job of not just winning, and that's the ultimate product. To me, my personal belief is you can market all you want, but if you don't win, it's not going to matter.
No, that's exactly right.
And they've been able to win, but they've also made a great facility, a fun place to come watch a college basketball game.
Yeah, that place. I mean, for the bang for the buck, for a renovation, we couldn't have hit it any better. And the team, with the success it's had with opening that building, it really is. You mentioned it. It's the place to be. You look around and you're looking at who's in the stands, who's on the court, and you're like, man, I can't.
Mayor's there every night.
Yeah.
It's you got dignitaries, you got celebrities, you got NBA players, you got Major League Baseball players. Everybody, it's a place to come.
It is, and you know what's cool is every building has its own kind of cool, unique thing. But what I love is where the students are, and they're right behind our courtside holders, and so that energy that they're able to inflect or into the game. And trust me, our student athletes, our kids, they feel that. And that's something that is, it's hard to capture in a building because right now everybody's building bigger. And sometimes you got to step back and say smaller, more intimate.
Bigger's not always better.
That's exactly right. You want something that's more intimate and that's enclosed and feels special. And when one of our kids comes down, they make a play offensively, defensively, and that energy from the crowd, I get goosebumps. I kind of tend to move around on game day, and I'll be in the tunnel or I'll be sitting on a courtside seat or walking the concourse, but everywhere it has its cool little spot, and you can feel the energy in the building. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, move on to the football indoor facility. I mean, that's I know it's a year old now, a couple years old, but at the same time, to be able to envision having that and how different that is, not having to go over and use the Texans facility and things like that on a day in which you're going to have thunderstorms during two-a-days and things like that. It's got to be a big recruiting tool as well.
It is, and it's for that one, for me, it's really I appreciate it because when I was the ops guy, it'd be like, okay, it's going to rain this afternoon, and we'd be calling the Texans, and we'd be, trying to negotiate some time between them and Rice and trying to work it out. Then you got to get buses to move the team back and forth. Yeah. It was not as simple, just, hey, we're going to go to the facility. Now we've got something that's right there that we just say, hey, we're going to start practice in there or end practice in there. It's ours, and now we've got people calling and using it. Hey, can we get into your place? We've got during the bowl game, Oklahoma State used it, and right now with the XFL here, they're using it, and it's funny when you see all these other people from around the country that come in and like, what? This place is incredible. And what's really cool about it, and every facility has its own little kind of neat kind of quirk or anything or something about it. There was a knockout in there that was originally designed to be a weight room, but we turfed it, and we were thinking about turning it back into a weight room, but it's become such a functional space with that extra 20, 30 yards that now everybody else is looking at. They're like, we've got to incorporate that into our building. And it's been just so well received, and it's a huge training advantage, not just for football, but our other programs are able to use it as well. Baseball uses it, softball, soccer. When it's funky outside, it's a spot for everybody to get inside.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a better high school baseball city in the country than this one. I mean, let's face it, you take a rope 50 miles long and spread it around the University of Houston, just about any sport, but baseball is one of those as well. And now with this facility, hey, kids love having bright and shiny things to be able to come in and call their home. And for as long as I've seen those dressing rooms there at over at the facility, and to sleep where these kids would come in and, sleep between classes and do their homework and things like that, and to see what they have now, night and day. I know you got to be very proud once they opened that up last couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it is. And, you touched on something about, the functionality of a building. When we're here, and what we're trying to do is maximize our student athletes' time and try and make their time here as productive as possible. The NCAA a couple of years ago imposed Care and Rare, which are our requirements on what we can and can't do with kids, and it's basically a 20-hour cap, short outside of competition. So what we have to do is be as economical with their time when they're here. So the way to create one-stop shop for kids where they can come in, they can hit nutrition, workout, a spot to study, all those things in one spot. And then also, hey, you don't have to go back and forth between your dorm room or your apartment. You can hang out in here between classes. Now their day becomes a lot more productive. And it sounds, really lavish, but there is a functionality to it. And it's exciting to see, you go over there right now and it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'll bet you 2/3 of the team's over there just hanging out. And so there's also a camaraderie that gets built, a bonding component to it, because it's, a lot of times when school's out and game's over, kids go their separate ways. And now there's always that tie. Hey, I'll meet you at the facility, and they'll hang out. Todd, our golf team's got a golf simulator upstairs, so they're teaching the baseball players how to hit golf balls, and there's things to do to create that bond, in addition to the nutrition and the academics that come with it.
Couple minutes left. We hit on football, we hit on basketball, we hit on baseball. I know you got other spring sports coming up and getting ready to get going. Softball, track and field, obviously, is Leroy Burrell's club continuing to dominate as far as the American Conference is concerned.
Yeah, Coach Burrell, it's amazing what they continue, the consistency in that program of just dominating our conference, men and women, and then also competing at a high level in nationals, individual national championships and placing in the top 5 indoor and outdoor for the men and women. I was talking to Coach Burrell, today, about 2 days ago, and he was especially prideful of some of the times the women posted this last weekend. And it's a balanced squad, and he kind of gave me this little wink, like, hey, something special is in store with the women, aside from what we're the continual success that we've had with the men. Softball's cranking up. Kristen, we were one half game away from being in a super regional last year, and she's going to be really good again with softball. Tennis starts up. It's spring right now. January, February is the busiest time. Almost every sport starting, and then we're actually starting spring football early this year. We're starting in February with our spring practices. So it's going to be an active next 6-8 weeks.
No doubt about that. Hey, Chris Pesman, thank you very much. Hey, we appreciate Chris Pesman stopping by here on Cougs Corner. Pez, stop by anytime, man.
Ash, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing this. The inaugural podcast. This is exciting. We're really excited about this. Thank you.
All right, stay with us when we come back here on Cougs Corner, the official podcast of University of Houston Athletics. We'll be visiting with baseball coach Todd Whitting. That's next. Let's think about what's coming up this month in Houston Cougar Athletics, because there is a lot to talk about. Over 40 home events coming up this month alone, including basketball, baseball, softball, track, swimming, tennis, and golf. Plenty of men's basketball and women's basketball. Softball and baseball both beginning in the month of February. We invite you to get your tickets. uhcougars.com/tickets. That's uhcougars.com/tickets. Welcome back to Cougs Corner, the official podcast of University of Houston Athletics. And just a couple of weeks away from baseball getting cranked up as the Cougars start the season on February 14th. And Todd Whitting, head baseball coach here at the University of Houston, joins us now. Before we get into the season, I want to talk about that brand spanking new facility you just you just pulled the ribbon off the other day. Give us an overview. Give us the audio tour of your brand new facility.
Yeah, it's a game changer for us. It's something that, it's something I've been wanting to do for 10 years. We've been working on it for about 5, construction for 3.5, and the hard work paid off, by a lot of people, not just me. But the fun thing about the building is I got to design. Tracy Colley and I got to design literally every square foot of that building and set it up the way we wanted to do it. And it's always like when you move into a new house, there's a couple things you might have changed, but for the most part, it's turned out really good. And probably the most gratifying thing is just to see the players walk in there the first night. And, they had to earn their way in there. We did a little drill that you had to do a couple things to be able to have the right to move your stuff in. And they attacked that and went at it well. But just to see their face when they walked in, and, that makes it all worthwhile. But it's a tremendous facility. It's 20,000 square feet. It's 2 levels. 90% of that building is built for the players. There's a small locker room area for the coaches up top. So I want it to be truly a player development center, and encompassed in there is a major league style locker room, probably nicer than most major league teams. It's almost 2,000 square feet, just a locker room by itself. A player's lounge with a full kitchen, hydrotherapy area, very large training room for our prehab and rehab activities, equipment room. We got a swag area in there for all the recruits that kind of displays, our uniforms and things we do. And then one of the things I'm really excited and I thought turned out well was the Walla hallway. The Walla family, he was a former player of ours, and he donated that area to us. And it basically tells our story, for recruits, for visitors, and most importantly for alumni that come back that have played, all the accomplishments of the program, all the championships. There's a display in there for Doug's Cy Young Award, Brad Lincoln's National Player of the Year Award, And there's 2 TV monitors that also just continue to roll things that just tell the story of Houston Cougar baseball, and it's really cool. And then upstairs is just phenomenal. There's a turf area where you can throw bullpens. We've got an 86-inch TV up there for all our pitching analytics that are up there as guys are throwing pins. A weight room that's turned out to be extremely functional. One thing that's been a big hit is we have a full swing golf sim up there, and that's turned out to be really fun for the guys. And it does a lot of different things, so it's kind of like Dave and Buster's up in that corner with that golf sim and all the things it does. And then just a beautiful club area for game day for all our donors that helped us build that building. That are a member of what's called our coaches committee, with a really nice club and a deck, Greg Miller Club. The Brett and Don Sanders patio and the Jimmy and Melissa Gwynn bar area right there is going to be a really great game day experience for our fans.
Yeah, you don't get that done without, you mentioned Don, you mentioned, Daryl Schrader, whatever. You don't get that done without people stepping up. And I mean, that's got to be especially gratifying to you. And I know it's got to be gratifying to them to see, the fruits of their labor.
It is. I mean, there's so many people that stepped up. That building is 100% funded by private donors. So you've got everywhere, anything from Daryl Lloyd Schrader, whose name is on the ballpark, Don Sanders and his family's name is on the field, and then naming rights inside that building from anywhere from $250,000 down to $25,000. So, it takes a village, and I'm extremely excited and happy that our Cougar supporters stepped up to give us this type of facility.
I know this is a good problem to have to worry about, and one you haven't had to worry about here until now. Is it's as you talked about it, having guys earn it, because. It's a beautiful facility, but some of the guys that come in and they think, well, this is the way life has always been.
Sure.
Maybe get those seniors to talk to them about what it's really been like, what it was like sleeping in that locker room that you had underneath the stadium.
It's funny you said that, because we were going over the IPF the other day for an indoor workout, and I actually stopped in Garrison Gym to see if now you talk about the old locker room, that's back where I was back in the day when we had a side room next to the intramural locker room and showered with all the students and things like that. It had zero amenities in there other than 2 nasty couches, and it's been renovated into something else now. It's not there anymore, but I'd actually walked the hitters over there with the intention of showing them that. But to even expound more on that, that's one thing that I was talking to Jeff Bannister, one of our former players, about this morning, is they need to understand where they've come from in the history of this program, and not just the history of the program, but understand the university and who they're playing for. And that's one thing that I'm taking on over the coming weeks is we do a classroom session. I've taken our old locker room, made that into a classroom for us, and they're going to get a history lesson on the University of Houston and Houston athletics coming up before the season starts.
You're in a facility now, and now it's up to bringing players in and getting better. Where do you want this team to get better? Last year, you guys, let's face it, you had trouble scoring runs.
We did.
Pitching was there, but you trouble scoring runs. Is that something? I know you got to balance it out. You got to stay good on both sides, but at the same time, you had to get better offensively.
Yeah, we have a new hitting coach, Sammy Esposito, who comes from one of my requirements with hiring that position was they had to have an extensive experience in winning on a high level, and I wanted somebody that I had never coached with or played for me, just some new ideas. And Sammy, was at Wichita State, which is a great program, but before that was at South Carolina, where they won 2 national titles. So, and he comes from a great coaching family. His dad's a legendary coach in Division I baseball at North Carolina State. So he's got the pedigree, and he'll get them going. And some of the things in our offensive woes last year were not getting a hit. It was just basically, and we had this conversation yesterday with him, just getting a safety squeeze down, hitting a ground ball, moving the baseball, doing things like that, taking extra base here and there. There's 8 to 10 of those situations throughout the year that you win one more game, you're not on the bubble when the committee makes their decision to get left out.
As a head coach, because you want to control everything, but at the same time, you got to delegate authority to guys. And is that something that I know a lot of head coaches, they have a hard time doing that, but that's something obviously you don't have a hard time with it because you just did, as far as getting a new hitting coach.
It's hard, especially me being a hitting guy. Coach Rooney's got it great because I don't do pitching, so he's basically the head coach of the pitchers, and he makes the decisions on who's starting that day and who's going in and out of the game, making pitching changes, and I completely trust him. And Frank Anderson had the same ability to do that when he was here. I'm trying to get better at that. I've tried to become more, the last 7 or 8 years. the way I look at it is they coach the players, I coach the team, and I try to set up every practice that way. I try to. A lot of times I don't go to early hitting because if I do, I can't keep my mouth shut, and I don't know what Sammy or Coach Thon has told those guys on that day. So, sometimes the best thing you can do is just stay out of the way and just coach your coaches and let those guys coach the players.
You guys get it going on February 14th,
Yeah.
So you get it going, get it cranked up, and it'll be here before you know it, right?
Absolutely. Youngstown State's coming in. Don't know a lot about them yet. I'll start looking at those guys probably the first part of next week, and we'll start doing some video and things.
Good tournament going on too in Round Rock. I mean, you talk about testing your mettle early, and I know your team will evolve, especially a team that's got a lot of new players. That you're going to be better, and you're going to be better in April than you're going to be in February.
Sure.
But you guys are going to get tested. What is that? Stanford, Tennessee, all coming to Round Rock.
Yeah, Stanford, Tennessee, Texas Tech for the Round Rock Classic this year. I'm looking forward to it. It's something that that group does a tournament in Frisco every year, and they've been trying to get us to come. And to be honest with you, it's just too cold.
Yeah.
I was at TCU for 7 years and froze, and I said, hey, I know the president and over at Round Rock, we have a great relationship. Let's do one there. So that's going to be a great tournament.
People don't. It's the coldest thing I think I've ever been has been in a baseball dugout or in stands watching baseball.
No question.
At that time of year. Hey, man, we really appreciate you spending some time. Good luck with us with the season. Congratulations on the new facility, and looking forward to seeing University of Houston baseball starting up here in the not too distant future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Todd Whitting visiting with us here on Cougs Corner, the official podcast of University of Houston Athletics. Hey, welcome back to Cougs Corner, the official podcast of University of Houston Athletics. Our thanks to Chris Pesman for stopping by, and of course, Todd Whitting will be visiting in just a couple of minutes with Dorian Branch. We wanted to see you to help us continue to build champions for life by becoming a member of Cougar Pride, the fundraising arm of University of Houston Athletics. Cougar Pride's mission is to provide financial support for student-athlete scholarships and priority needs of the athletic departments. Its members consist of alumni, fans, former student athletes, coaches, and friends that work to ensure student athletes that they have a first-class education with a chance to excel in the classroom and in competition. Join us today by visiting uhcougarpride.com. And also a reminder, University of Houston Athletics, over 40 events coming up this month alone in the world of Houston Cougar Athletics. Now, to purchase your tickets for the next University of Houston Athletic home event, make sure to visit uhcougars.com/tickets. Don't forget to check uhcougars.com for the latest news and information on the Cougars. Hey, welcome back to Cougs Corner, the official podcast of University of Houston Athletics. Good to have you with us. We appreciate you tuning in. And now it is time for us to visit with women's basketball player Dorian Branch. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
A senior out of Dallas. I'm doing very good. Is it amazing? Now, I say senior. Does it go by? How quickly it goes by?
It goes by really quickly, but I'm glad that I've spent all my time here at the University of Houston.
What was it about coming from Dallas, Richardson High School, right?
Yes, sir.
How's that from memory? What was it about University of Houston made you want to come?
The University of Houston just had a big city. It was a very family culture feeling whenever I came on my visit. I was able to see other sports. When I came, I also got to spend time with the other student athletes that were being recruited here. So we were like, let's come and make this big change in the sports world. So I think just that, and it being close to Dallas, close enough for my mom to come and see me play all the time, and then my family to come from Louisiana and see me play, it just felt like the best fit.
Some of your people that kind of molded your life. You talk about your mom. Was that one of them?
Oh, absolutely. My mom, of course, she played a big role in just keeping me motivated all the time in basketball, just knowing that I needed to be the best that I could be at all times. But also my brother. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of my family, they just support me all the time. They've been supporting me since I was a kid when I started playing basketball.
Let's talk about something that you're very involved in. You're the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Council.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an idea of when people say Student Athlete Advisory Council, what is that exactly?
What it is like 2 or 3 athletes from each sport. We come together, we meet, and we talk about the things that can make the student athlete experience better. So this year we've started some new things, trying to be more active on our social media page. We've started a monthly newsletter to where we just give out information about what happened in the past month and some things that are coming up. We're doing a new thing this year called the Cougar Cup, which is the team that supports other teams the most, and then the team that does the most like community service throughout the year. At our Cougar Choice Awards, they'll get this big Cougar Cup award. So the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, just the main thing that we want to do is just find out ways to make the student athlete experience better.
What was it about that made you get as involved as you are? Because not only are you involved in it, but you're the president of it.
Well, my freshman year, my Coach Huey, actually just kind of stuck me into it, and I didn't even know what I was getting.
He volunteered you?
He volunteered me, and then as I just went through my years in college, I just kind of got more acclimated to it, and I enjoyed what they were doing on the board. And so last year, my junior year, I was the vice president of the exec board, and then this year I was like, it's only right to try and be the head of it.
There you go. Hey, some people that the seniors, because they have seen every side of things as far as here at the University of Houston, because things have changed so much over the last 4 years. The growth that you've seen in this athletic department, whether it's facilities, whatever the case may be, it's got to be amazing over the last 4 years.
Yes, sir. It has been amazing. When I got here, we played in Hoffines Pavilion, which is the main thing that has turned into the Big Fertitta Center. And, that's just amazing because it looks like an NBA, WNBA style arena. It attracts a lot of people, and the person that donated to it, everybody knows. So that's such a big thing. And then as far as facilities, volleyball has gotten their new player development facility. Baseball just opened theirs like a week or two ago. So I think everybody that's been having good seasons and turning their programs around are getting rewarded with the new facilities and everything.
All right, you're coming up. You're going to be finishing up your eligibility. What's that going to be like whenever the horn sounds on your final game?
I always say, I'm going to be so happy, but I know it's going to be a sad time. I'm glad that I've gotten to spend 4 years here, though, and make the biggest mark that I could have made. So it'll be a sad time, but it'll also be a very happy time.
Okay, Dorian Branch moves on after this. Mm-hmm. What 5 years from now, when I see Dorian Branch, what is she going to be doing?
Dorian Branch is in between things right now, but I do know wherever you're going to see me, it's going to be me somewhere talking and trying to impact other people.
Coaching?
I don't know. That is an option.
Broadcasting,
coaching.
Now see, because now tell full disclosure. See, you've come and shadowed me at the television station. Right?
Yes. We do have a pass outside of this podcast. I got to shadow Mr. Kevin with AT&T Sportsnet, and he was doing the Astros game. So we actually know each other before today.
Okay, so could broadcasting be something that you might want to do?
Absolutely. I want to, if I can get into commentating for women's sports, men's sports, either one, because I'm into it all. I would be more than happy to do that.
All right, I want to circle back around to the basketball team and where you guys are right now, and where you guys need to get better down the road.
Well, we're 10-11 right now. We just came off a loss last night, but this weekend we're heading to Tulane, to New Orleans. We get that win, I think that it'll be a start to finishing out the season on a really good note. Just some small things we have to clean up. We have 8 people that are eligible, so we just have to find that second gear to finish out the season in conference.
Next lady up, right?
Yep.
Whenever you play in this conference, and you've gotten a chance to play against one of the true women's college basketball dynasties in the history of the game, and you will have played against some of the greatest teams in the game, and that's one program, and it's UConn. When you guys go against them in the years that you've gotten a chance to do it, and I guess it'll be 8 times by the end of your career, but is that a little something special for you?
I think that it wakes us up to where you would want to be whenever you're thinking about women's basketball and a women's basketball program. Whenever we prepare for them, you just have to talk so much about not making mistakes, because they're going to make very few mistakes. And if you make very few mistakes, you'll find yourself in the game with them. You just have to kind of play your game, but you have to play that to the highest level that you can.
Give me an idea of some of the lessons that you've learned from the way Coach Huey has gone about his business, and maybe some things that if you ever get into coaching that you would take away from him that you would implement into your own program?
Well, of course, it's heart and it's effort. Those are two things that he always preaches about, and then accountability. So I think that if I was to coach, I would take those same things because those are three good qualities that any player, any coach can have. He also brings a lot of energy every day. He brings more energy than we bring on 50% of the days. So I think that I would want to bring that to my team as well because they'll know if our coach is up tempo and all that stuff, then we have to be the same way.
You see young players, whether junior high, high school, but you see young Dorian Branches, and you see that gleam in their eye that they're, when they play the game, that they have that love for the game. What advice, now that you're towards the end of your playing career, more than likely, what would be the advice that you could give them when they're just kind of starting out?
I would just say just continue to work hard at all times. Trust everything that you work on in your practices and your trainings, and then just be the best teammate that you can be because that's what people are going to remember, how you treated your teammates, how you treated the game, and then they're going to know that that'll be the legacy that you'll leave.
All right, Dorian Branch visiting with us here on Cougs Corner, the official podcast. You do a lot of podcasts? Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
I'm starting to listen to some. I also actually do not listen to sports podcasts, though. I listen to more so of Christian podcasts.
Okay. Your favorite NBA team is?
The Lakers, of course.
The Lakers. How now? Obviously, last month the passing of Kobe Bryant. I know that was a shock to everyone, obviously. But some of your memories of him, and I know he was probably one of your favorites, as most people your age growing up. So, tough month, right?
Absolutely. Of course, it is so sad for him and all the other families that were involved in it. Me playing basketball, it was like a direct impact. Like, it just was like your heart stopped for a second. Like, such a legend just passes at such a young age in a tragic accident. So I think that it's sad for everybody. But I think that it made people more aware and be more grateful for the time that they do have. And I think that's the best thing to come out of it.
Hey, Dorian, we appreciate you spending some time. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Enjoy it because it does go by fast, right?
Thank you.
See, she's thinking, man, I'm not old enough to be talking about stuff like that. All right, that's going to do it for our inaugural voyage here of the Cougs Corner, the official podcast of University of Houston Athletics. Hope you like what you got a chance to hear. Our thanks to Chris Pesman for stopping by, Todd Whitting, and, of course, Dorian Branch from the women's basketball team. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm Kevin Eschenfelder. We'll see you next time.